Greetings! I'm Sam Arano, and with me is Nessia, and we'll be doing another This is what happens when you don't write a script. I trip over my words. I'm not good at being extemporaneous.
Is it because I waved?
No, I'm just not good at that.
Oh, okay.
Greetings! I'm Sam Arano, with me is Nessia, and this is another episode of Jewish History on the Plate. Now this video today is part of Project Middle East. I am one of 19 other YouTube channels that are collaborating on stories from the past and present Middle East. And I decided to do something a little different and talk about Jewish food. Now something I've noticed through the Jewish world is that when we talk about Jewish food, we're usually talking about two different things. And it's usually not the things that we mean when we are talking about other cuisines. So there will be things like matzo ball soup, things specific to holidays, things specific to the way you have to do things on a holiday. And when you're generally talking about other Jewish food, it's whatever the Jewish population of your country brought from the last country where they lived. So in the US, we have pastrami being a Jewish food, even though no one would think of it that way in, say, Romania, which is where the Jews brought it from. And of course, in Britain, you have fish and chips, though nobody really thinks of that anymore as being a Jewish food. But then you have this. This is Amba. It is a kind of mango sauce. It's a pickled mango sauce. And as far as I can tell, it is the only Jewish food that is not related to a holiday and which nobody else eats.
So no one else eats Amba?
Amba is just a Jewish thing. And now I'm sure people will tell me about all kinds of other things that only Jews eat that I don't know about. Now what's interesting about the story of Amba is that it relates to the period of Jewish history that I'm covering on my channel right now, which is the first half of the 19th century, post-Napoleonic Age of Revolution, though not in Europe. So to start out, Amba is a pickled mango sauce. There are some other ingredients. I didn't make this. I got this from my corner falafeleria, which is a place where you get falafel, but also a place where you would have an excess of falafel that was bad for your body. It works. It all depends on how you spell it. Store-bought Amba is uniformly terrible. I didn't even attempt. My mom tried it on salad. She tried using it as a salad dressing. I think this would work great as a salad dressing. But we're going to try it on different items of food and see the effect that it has. We have kind of this pickled, tangy, sweet combination. And it really goes well with foods that are salty or spicy. So the story of Amba begins in Iraq. Seeing it in its full form here, it's a lot thicker than I thought it would be. How would you describe that?
Tangy.
Yeah. And this is a pretty divisive condiment, Amba. A lot of people absolutely hate it.
It's sort of bitter, a little bit salty.
It's kind of everything, and yet they don't all cancel each other out somehow.
No. And then there's like a fruitiness to it because it is the mango taste type thing at its core. So there's something sort of refreshing about it, even though bitter, tangy, salty is not, they're not like the most refreshing words.
No. I mean, I think part of the saltiness might just be the falafel.
Oh. Or the saltiness is the falafel. Amba is like not offered to me when I go to a falafel place, as I have to specifically ask for it, and I think it's because I'm Ashkenazi.
But so am I.
I'm just saying it's never offered to me.
Are you saying that I seem more Amba prepared than you?
Maybe.
I seem more Amba compliant?
Maybe. Honestly, it's never offered to me, so it took me 3 years to figure out that it existed, which is insane because it is a staple of Israeli food.
So it's not because you're Ashkenazi, it's because you're pale. Jesus. Looking into the camera like that. That's staying in. So there have been Jews in Iraq since the Babylonian exile, between the First and Second Temple periods. It's really the first Jewish diaspora community, and it survived right up to the 20th century and was enormously important. It was the Amoraim of places like Sura and Pumbedita who put together the Babylonian Gemara, which was the dominant interpretation of Eastern Judaism in late antiquity, and then took over all of Judaism as that version of the Talmud spread west with the Islamic conquests. I mean, Baghdad had the largest Jewish population of any city up to the point where it was destroyed by the Mongols. Enough that it had, I believe, 10 different Batei Din, 10 different Jewish courthouses. They had a Jewish population of 40,000 when Benjamin of Tudela.
Okay, so I have a question about a myth I heard about Baghdadi Jews.
Go on.
Which is that the community that was there after the Mongols' conquest, the community that reformed, is not like it's not a continuation of the previous community. That it was essentially an entirely new community, and the people who live there say they can trace their ancestry back to the first exile are mistaken.
Well, Baghdad was completely destroyed for a long while after the Mongols, so it would have to be a different. But it would have been people nearby mostly.
Okay. Got it.
Now, something I've been covering a lot lately is these sort of effectively independent Ottoman fiefdom. How is this still going? The Ottoman Sultan didn't mind, as long as, they paid their taxes. But in the early 19th century, a lot of things went wrong. This has kind of been subtext for some of the things I've been talking about, like the Hep riots, where Jews were attacked in Germany. Mm-hmm. That was all partially in response to a year-long volcanic winter, which was caused worldwide by the eruption of Mount Tambora in Indonesia.
Whoa.
It was called the Year Without a Summer.
The Year Without a Summer.
Mm-hmm.
It's very dramatic.
And this affected Iraq too. There was crop failure, basically like there was everywhere else, and there were floods. Because of this crop failure, this loss of tax revenue, the local Mamluk ruler, Daoud Pasha, who took office around the time of the eruption, began upcharging merchants from the British East India Company, which made the Ottoman Sultan very angry. This went on for a few years, but finally in 1830, the Sultan declared that the ruler Daoud Pasha was a rebel. So in 1831, Daoud Pasha went into full rebellion against the Sultan, and in order to do so, he basically expropriated all of the property from the wealthiest Jewish families in Baghdad, including the Yehudas and the Sassoons, who, as a result, fled to India. Now, there had been Jews living in India for a long time, but these Jewish exiles were not going to places where Jews already lived, like Kochi or Madras. They went to Bombay, Calcutta, Karachi, which is now in Pakistan, even Burma. It wasn't long before Daoud Pasha was defeated, and what they brought back was mango chutney. A lot of them stayed in India, but they remained in contact, So next up, we're choosing the schnitzel. This is one of the few European foodstuffs that kind of made it into Israeli cuisine. You'll see it a lot in the same space, in the same breadth, in the same pita lafa as falafel or shawarma. I have this often. I'm actually going to add a little school, because this is a very, very spicy Yemeni condiment. And is it a Jewish only thing? I don't know. We could probably do a whole separate video about it. Now, after the Ottomans restored control, Amba just kind of remained as this Jewish thing. It's really interesting. The Jews of Iraq went through a lot of other things. There was a brief pro-Nazi coup in 1941 that resulted in an attempt to bring the Holocaust to Iraq. And then when Israel was established, the community basically disappeared in a matter of weeks in the early 1950s. But one of the things they brought to Israel was Amba. Something else that they brought was their pronunciation of the letter resh as a uvular trill. It's a very unusual sound.
And the bane of my existence.
Well, I'm very good at it. It's basically the sound of a cat purring. That's not a joke. The Hebrew word for purring is legarger.
What?
Legarger.
With my accent, le gargare.
Yes.
All right.
This is why people know you're from America and think I'm from France.
Do people think you're from France?
Yeah, I underemphasize my unstressed vowels, apparently.
Oh.
Yeah. But if they just see my name, they think I'm from Uzbekistan.
Oh, people just see my name, they think I'm from Russia.
We're neighbors.
We're neighbors.
People think that the uvular trill in Hebrew comes from Yiddish. I've never heard any dialect of Yiddish that has that sound. An R in Yiddish is just like everywhere else.
And early Israelis rolled their R's.
They did. I watched old Israeli movies, and like up to the late 1970s, it is an alveolar tap. But after that point, it's resh. This is how I'm able to communicate with cats. Oh my god.
The green stuff is good. What's the name of the green stuff again?
You'll never be able to pronounce it.
What?
Srug. Zayin, Chet, Vav, Gimel.
Srug.
Srug. Now, so far, everything that we've eaten so far are foods that traditionally do go with Amba, but I have an inkling it will actually go well with something we've talked about before on this channel.
Which is fish and chips.
So we've got all these lovely sauces, but we're going to leave them aside for now. And we're going to try this fish and chips with Amba.
That sounds so good.
So, fish and chips and Amba. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as strong in combination as I thought it would be. The fish has a little bit more power than I thought, and the Amba has a little bit less.
Interesting. I feel like it brings out the mango-ness of
the thing that is mostly mangoes.
Of the thing that is mostly mangoes. It brings out the mango. This
Maximum mango.
It doesn't. It sounds very stupid when I say it like that, but
it neutralizes a lot of the other tastes in it.
Exactly. You have to understand that Amba fundamentally, despite being a mango paste, does not taste that much like mango.
No. It's very heavily spiced.
Yeah.
However, that is Amba. That is a food which was an Iraqi adaptation of an Indian staple, was brought to Israel, and through all these countries was pretty much only a Jewish thing.
You can tell the people I'm a Jewish studies major if that gives me more like purpose in your video.
You have all the purpose you need. I don't know why you feel so inadequate. This is not going to be in the video. And
that put it in the video.
And that is Jewish history on the plate. I'm Sam Aronow, and I will see you next time with one, maybe two, very special guests. This video is part of Project Middle East, a multi-channel collaboration event with a bunch of great creators you should check out. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Sam and I make videos about Jewish history, including occasionally the history of Jewish food.